The mug slipped from my fingers, coffee splashing across the floor as my mother-in-law's whispered words registered on my husband's face. I watched as Ethan's expression shifted from calm to furious in seconds. "Is this true?" he demanded. "Have you been lying to me?" Before I could respond, his hand shot out. The slap was so hard I lost my balance, stumbling back into the wall. My cheek burned as tears welled up in my eyes. And then the wave of nausea I'd been holding back all evening came. In front of both of them, I threw up. Ethan took a step back but froze when he noticed something in my purse that had fallen open. A positive pregnancy test had slipped out. His face drained of color. "Grace, are you—" His voice trailed off. I touched my stinging cheek, tears streaming down my face. "Yes, I'm pregnant. I was going to tell you tonight. That's why I made your favorite dinner." My name is Grace. I'm 32 and a third-grade teacher. This is the story of how I reclaimed my life from the woman who poisoned my marriage and nearly destroyed my family. The silence that followed was suffocating. Ethan stared at the test, then at his hand, the one he had just used to strike his pregnant wife. Vivian stood frozen, her lips pressed into a thin line, but couldn't hide the shock in her eyes. "Oh my God," Ethan muttered. "Grace, He reached for me, but I flinched away. The man who had promised to protect me had just hit me while I was carrying his child. The sound of a door opening startled us. Chloe, our neighbor, stood in the doorway, concern on her face. "I heard shouting," she said, taking in the scene. "Is everything okay?" I knew deep down that nothing was okay, and nothing would be for a long time. I'd met Ethan 3 years ago at a coffee shop. He accidentally spilled his coffee on my students' homework, and his frantic attempts to salvage the papers made me laugh. "I promise I'm not usually this clumsy," he'd said. "Please let me make it up to you, coffee or dinner." That's how it started. Simple, sweet, completely perfect. Ethan was everything I dreamed of, and he looked at me like I was the most fascinating person he'd ever met. Our first year of marriage was beautiful. We bought a small house, talked about having kids, and spent weekends making plans for our future. Then Vivian moved in. "It's just temporary," Ethan assured me. "Mom's having a hard time with the divorce. She needs support right now." I wanted to be understanding, but Vivian had a way of making me feel small in my own home. Nothing I did was good enough. The house wasn't clean enough, my cooking wasn't to her standards, and I wasn't taking good enough care of her son. "Ethan works so hard," she'd say. "He needs more protein than that." The changes in Ethan were subtle at first. He started criticizing things he'd never noticed before. Each criticism was preceded by those private conversations with his mother. When I found out I was pregnant, I should have been overjoyed. Instead, I felt terrified. I hid the morning sickness, making excuses to rush to the bathroom at school. I kept crackers in my desk drawer. I wanted to tell Ethan first, to have one moment of joy before Vivian took over with her opinions. The night of the slap, I'd planned everything perfectly. Ethan's favorite lasagna, his preferred wine, and a little onesie to surprise him with. But Vivian insisted on coming to dinner. "Family dinners are important," she said. I was in the kitchen when I overheard Vivian on the phone. "She's hiding something. I saw her running to the bathroom, probably having an affair. My Ethan deserves better." My hands shook. An affair? Is that what she whispered to Ethan at dinner? Is that why he was so quick to believe the worst about me? Standing in our dining room with Chloe witnessing the aftermath, I felt the weight of every whispered lie. Every moment I stayed quiet to keep the peace. My hand moved protectively to my stomach. The baby inside me deserved better. I deserved better. "Grace." Ethan stepped toward me, his voice breaking. "Please, let me explain." But Chloe had already wrapped her arm around my shoulders. "She's coming with me," she said firmly. "And you better not try to stop her." As Chloe led me out, I heard Vivian's voice. "Ethan, darling, she's hysterical. You know how women get in her condition." The door closed behind us, but the damage was done. My perfect life had shattered in a single evening. That night, I took a picture of my face, the red handprint still visible against my pale skin. "What are you doing?" Chloe asked, bringing me tea. "Evidence," I said, my voice steadier than expected. and insurance. The next morning, I called the school principal and requested emergency leave. Then I made 2 more calls, one to my sister Megan, a family law attorney, and another to my bank. I need to move half of our joint account into a separate account in my name only, I told the bank manager. By noon, I had a new checking account with enough money to support myself for 6 months. By evening, Megan had emailed me steps to document spousal abuse and begin custody proceedings if necessary. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from Ethan. "I'm so sorry. Please come home. I never meant to hurt you." Mixed in were texts from Vivian. "You're tearing this family apart. A good wife would come home and work things out." I blocked Vivian's number without hesitation, but couldn't block Ethan. Not yet. That evening, I made a list of everything I needed from the house. Clothes, documents, my grandmother's jewelry. "We'll go when they're both out," Chloe said. "Tom will come with us." Tom was Chloe's boyfriend, a police officer. I opened my laptop and started a document titled Incidents. I typed out every detail about the night before. I attached the photo of my face. Then I documented 6 months of Vivian's manipulations and Ethan's changing behavior. 1 week after the incident, I had my first prenatal appointment. The sound of my baby's heartbeat filled the room, strong and steady. Tears rolled down my cheeks because Ethan should have been here for this moment. "Do you want me to record it?" Chloe whispered. I nodded, unable to speak. That evening, I sent Ethan the recording with a simple message. "Your child's heartbeat." His response came quickly. "Please, can we talk in person? Without Mom?" I glanced at my reflection. The bruise had faded to yellowish green, but the fear in my eyes was still fresh. Could I face him? My phone buzzed again. Vivian from a new number, probably gotten from their family phone plan that I hadn't thought to cancel yet. "How dare you send that to him without discussing it with me first? I'm his mother." Something snapped within me. I typed, "You are not involved in decisions about my baby. Never have been, never will be." I blocked this number too. A few moments later, Ethan called. This time, I picked up. "She's gone too far," he said. "I heard Vivian bragging about how she'd saved me from your supposed affair. She made it all up, and I believed her. I hit you because I believed her lies." His voice cracked. "I need you to choose, Ethan," I said. "Either your mother moves out or I'm not coming back. And if I don't come back, I'll be talking to a lawyer about full custody. I won't raise our child in a home with violence." The silence felt like it stretched for hours. "Can you meet me tomorrow at Carter's coffee shop, where we first met? Mom won't be there, I promise. I just need to see you." I looked down at my stomach. "Okay," I whispered. "Tomorrow at 2 o'clock. But if she shows up, I'm done forever." "She won't," he said firmly. "I'm choosing you, Grace. I should have chosen you all along." The next day, I arrived at Carter's 15 minutes early. I chose a table near the door, an easy escape route. Chloe was parked across the street, ready to intervene if needed. At exactly 2 o'clock, Ethan walked in alone. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. He stopped a few feet from the table, respecting my space. "Can I sit?" he asked softly. I nodded, watching as he sank into the chair. "I kicked her out," he said. "Last night, she's staying at a hotel." I wrapped my hands around my tea. "Just like that?" "No," he admitted. "She screamed, cried, and told me I was abandoning her. But I packed her bags myself, told her if she didn't leave, I'd call the police." "Why now, Ethan? Why not after all the other times she hurt me? Because I became her." His voice cracked. "When I hit you, I became everything I hated about her. Controlling, violent, ready to believe the worst." "I'm scared of you," I admitted quietly. "Do you understand that? I'm carrying your child, and I'm scared of you." "You should be," he whispered. "What?" "What I did, there's no excuse. But Grace, please believe me, it will never happen again. I'm starting therapy tomorrow. I need to understand why I let her control me." I took a shaky breath. "I have conditions, Ethan, non-negotiable ones." He leaned forward. "Anything." "Vivian never sets foot in our house again. No holidays, no visits, nothing. She gets no information about the baby, no photos, no updates, nothing." "Done," he said immediately. "You continue therapy. We also do couples counseling, and if you ever raise a hand to me again, I'm gone. No discussions, no second chances. I'll press charges and file for full custody. I understand. He reached for his phone, pulling up an email. I've already found a couples counselor. He slid a business card across the table. This is my lawyer. I've asked her to draw up papers giving you full custody if I ever become violent again. The papers are being prepared now. My hand trembled as I picked up the card. You're serious about this? I love you, Grace. I love our baby, and I hate myself for what I did. I'm not coming home today, I said. I need time, and we start couples counseling first. He nodded, relief visible on his face. Can I come to the next doctor's appointment? For the first time since that horrible night, I felt a tiny spark of hope. Yes, I said, but Chloe comes too. Of course, he agreed quickly. Whatever you need to feel safe. 2 weeks later, with the temporary restraining order Megan had helped me secure in place, Vivian showed up at my classroom during lunch break. We need to talk, she said, closing the door behind her. My heart hammered in my chest. You're violating the restraining order. Leave now, or I'm calling the police. A restraining order? Against a concerned grandmother? Her laugh was brittle. I stood up, putting the desk between us. You reduced yourself to this, Vivian. Now leave. She took another step forward. You've turned my son against me. Poisoned him with your lies and that trap you've set. The fear suddenly transformed into rage. Pure, protective rage. A trap. I kept my voice controlled. Like the trap you set when you lied about me having an affair? When you manipulated him into hitting me? I pulled out my phone and pressed record. Say it again, Vivian. Tell me how you lied to your son. Her eyes widened. I never. You did, and now you're violating a legal order, threatening a pregnant woman at her workplace. I took a step toward her, and she stepped back. You thought I was weak. You thought I would break, but you forgot something. I'm not just fighting for myself anymore. I placed a hand on my baby bump. I'm fighting for her, and there's nothing I won't do to protect my daughter from you. Vivian's face paled. Her? Yes, your granddaughter. The one you'll never meet, never hold, never know. The one who will grow up free from manipulation and control. The one who will never learn your name. For the first time, Vivian seemed rattled. You can't keep my grandchild from me. I have rights. No, you don't. I pulled out a folder with my evidence. 6 months of documented manipulation. Witnesses. The recording of you bragging about fabricating the affair. And now this. You breaking a legal order. The door opened, and Ashley, my aide, walked in with the principal. Their faces registered shock at seeing Vivian. I'd shown them her photo when I returned to work, warning them she might try to contact me. Ms. Matthews, the principal said firmly, security is on their way. Vivian grabbed the folder. This isn't over, she hissed. I smiled, feeling a strange calm. It is for you. As security escorted her out, Ethan ran up the hallway, panic on his face. When he saw me unharmed, he nearly collapsed with relief. She called me, he said. Told me she was going to fix things with you. I called the police immediately, then the school office when I realized she might be heading to your classroom. That evening, I finally agreed to return home. Ethan had transformed the house. Vivian's things were gone. He had repainted the walls in soft yellows and greens, colors we chose for the nursery. I got rid of the dining room set, he said quietly. Bought a new one. I didn't want you to have to look at that table every day. We developed new routines. Ethan would text before coming home. We cooked together. Every decision about the baby was made jointly with no outside input. We continued therapy, unpacking years of manipulation and control. By my 5th month, we felt ready for me to move back home permanently. Chloe helped me pack, still unsure. Are you certain about this? She asked. No, I admitted, but I need to try, for her. I touched my growing belly. The first test came at 7 months. Vivian sent a baby gift, an expensive silver rattle with a note claiming that family heirlooms can't be kept away by restraining orders. Ethan took it straight to our lawyer. She's testing boundaries, he said. That night, Ethan held me as I cried. What if she never stops? I whispered. What if our daughter has to grow up looking over her shoulder? Then we'll protect her, he said firmly. Every day, every time. I won't fail her like I failed you. As my due date approached, we faced another challenge. Vivian had somehow discovered which hospital I'd registered at, likely through one of Ethan's distant cousins who worked in medical billing and had always been close to her. We need to change hospitals, Ethan said. So we switched, registered under Chloe's address, and made sure every hospital staff knew about the restraining order. Labor started at 2 a.m. on a quiet Tuesday. Ethan called Chloe first, then followed our plan. Hospital bag ready, car seat installed, security cameras checked. After 12 hours of labor, our daughter, Lily Grace, entered the world, screaming her little lungs out. "She is perfect," Ethan whispered, tears streaming down his face. "She looks just like you." The first test came soon. A flower delivery arrived at the hospital addressed to my first granddaughter, Lily. Ethan intercepted it. The card read, "Blood is thicker than water. She'll need her grandmother soon enough." Although we hadn't made any public birth announcements yet, the hospital's visitor policy meant Vivian could have simply called and asked for my room number to learn our daughter's name. Instead of hiding it from me, Ethan showed me the card. "No more secrets," he said firmly, ripping it up. "We handle everything together now." Coming home was nothing like I'd imagined. Ethan had installed new security cameras, changed all the locks, and added extra lighting. But inside, it was just us, our little family of 3. The first few weeks blurred together with midnight feedings and endless diaper changes. Ethan had taken extended paternity leave, showing his commitment to being present. At Lily's 1-month checkup, our pediatrician smiled warmly. "She's thriving," she said. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." That evening, as we sat in the nursery with Lily asleep in her crib, Ethan took my hand. "I saw Mom today," he said quietly, "at the grocery store." My heart stopped. "What happened?" "She tried to approach me, asked about Lily," he said. "I walked away, called security, followed our plan." I released the breath I had been holding. "And how do you feel?" "Sad," he admitted, his voice heavy but certain. "But our daughter will never know that kind of love, the kind that hurts, the kind that controls. She'll only know the real thing." I looked at our daughter, sleeping soundly in her crib, and knew he was right. The cycle was broken. Our home was filled with a different kind of love now, the kind that protected instead of controlled. Lily stirred in her sleep, making the tiny baby noises that melted our hearts. Ethan and I sat there, hands linked, watching her. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" I asked. "For giving me a second chance, for showing me what a real family looks like, for her." I leaned against his shoulder, feeling truly safe for the first time in years. 6 months after Lily's birth, a certified letter arrived from Vivian, along with legal documents. "I've decided to move to Arizona," the note read. "I've signed the enclosed papers relinquishing any claim to visitation rights with Lily. Ethan, you were always stronger than I gave you credit for. Grace, you were always stronger than I wanted you to be. Take care of each other." Ethan and I stood in the kitchen, staring at the papers in disbelief. "Do you think she means it?" I asked. "I don't know," he admitted. "But for the first time in my life, I don't care what she means. I only care about us." He pulled me close, and together we watched through the window as Lily played on her blanket in the backyard, bathed in golden afternoon light, safe, loved, and free. My fingers froze mid-type on the keyboard as the email notification lit up my screen. The subject line read, "Executive Promotion Announcement," but it was the preview text that made my stomach plummet. Nathan Hayes appointed Vice President of Strategic Operations, a role I had created, a position I had shaped meticulously over the past year. The worst part wasn't the theft of my idea. It was the photograph beneath the announcement. Nathan, my husband, champagne glass raised high, surrounded by executives in the boardroom of my company, my boardroom. The message from his personal email sat open in another tab. "Don't wait up tonight. Big celebration with the team. Maybe this will finally make you realize you need to get a real job." I zoomed in on his face, the triumphant smile, the glint in his eyes, the same expression he wore at home when he told me I wasn't trying hard enough. The timestamp on the photo showed 3:42 p.m., exactly 7 minutes after he had called me his little housewife on the phone, suggesting I take up gardening to feel useful. My name is Kate Williams. I'm 38 and the secret founder of Apex Technologies. This is the story of how I reclaimed not just my company, but my entire identity. I built Apex Technologies from nothing, 18-hour days, mortgage-risking investments, and a vision no one else believed in. When I met Nathan at an industry conference 5 years ago, I was already running a successful company I'd founded 3 years earlier, but I was exhausted from maintaining a double life. By day, I was Emma Dawson, the invisible CEO working behind closed doors. By night, just Kate, a woman who claimed to be between jobs, struggling to find her place. The deception had started as a protective measure. In the early days of Apex, I'd watched too many female founders get pushed out of their own companies. They were undermined by investors who saw women as risky bets. Creating Emma Dawson, complete with a carefully selected male management team to be the public face, had been a calculated decision. To maintain this separation, I'd established separate bank accounts. I set up a trust to manage my company earnings. I ensured all official documents for Kate Williams showed only modest freelance income. Nathan never knew. I wanted him to love me for who I was, not what I owned. And at first, he seemed perfect. Encouraging, kind, supportive of my supposed job search. He'd hold me when interviews fell through, assure me my time would come. Then we got married and everything changed. It started subtly. Suggestions about my appearance, comments about my lack of direction. Then came the dinner parties with his work friends, the same executives who reported to me without knowing it, where I became his favorite punchline. "Katie's still figuring things out," he'd say, his hand squeezing my shoulder just tight enough to warn against contradiction. "Some people just aren't built for the corporate world." I endured it, telling myself it was temporary, that I was gathering information, learning which of my executives could be trusted. But that email, that smug, self-congratulatory email, shattered the last of my illusions. I pulled up the company directory on my secure laptop, the one Nathan thought contained my little hobby blog. The name Nathan Hayes now appeared directly under operations, just 3 levels below Emma Dawson, my pseudonym, my protection, my prison. The promotion hadn't been approved by me or my board. Someone had circumvented the system, most likely Jonathan Pierce, the COO, who'd been growing increasingly bold in his decisions. The same Jonathan who came to our house for dinner and asked if I'd considered taking some business classes at the community college. I reached for my secure phone, the one Nathan had never seen, and texted Eleanor Vance, the head of my board and my mentor for 15 years. "It's time. Protocol reverence begins tomorrow." We had established this contingency plan years ago, should my identity ever need to be revealed. I'd prepared for this day. For 3 years, I'd been documenting everything. Nathan's casual mentions of confidential deals over breakfast, the files he left open on his laptop, the phone conversations in our bedroom he thought I couldn't hear. I had recordings from legally placed devices in my home office, screenshots and witness statements. They cataloged a pattern of inappropriate business practices that extended far beyond my husband. My home office was the one room Nathan rarely entered, dismissing it as my little space for job hunting and hobbies. What Nathan and his friends didn't realize was that when they mocked my unemployment at dinner parties, they were sitting across from the woman who signed their paychecks. I slipped the evidence folder into my bag as I heard Nathan's key in the lock. Tonight would be the last time I played the role of the insignificant wife. "There she is," Nathan's voice boomed through our apartment, alcohol loose and triumphant. "Did you see the news? Your husband is moving up in the world." I looked up from my book, my face a perfect mask of supportive excitement. "I did! Congratulations, I'm so proud of you." He dropped his jacket on the chair, never the coat rack, and loosened his tie. "Pierce says this is just the beginning. We're restructuring the entire operations division." He grinned, pouring himself another scotch. "You should have seen the old guards' faces. They never thought we'd get this far." That sounds amazing, I said, closing my book. How did you manage it? Nathan's eyes gleamed. Let's just say we found some creative solutions to the approval process. Emma Dawson is so disconnected from day-to-day operations, she'll probably only notice the change when quarterly reports come in. He laughed. By then it'll be too late. I felt a chill run through me. Too late for what? For her to stop us. Nathan sat beside me, the scotch making him loose-lipped. Pierce found a buyer for the AI division, the one Dawson's been protecting like a mother hen. Once that money comes in, we're restructuring the whole executive team. He tapped my nose. Maybe then you'll finally be married to a CEO instead of a VP. I forced myself to smile. The AI division was my life's work, the most innovative technology Apex had ever developed. Selling it would gut the company's future. I'm going to bed, I said, kissing his cheek. Don't stay up too late celebrating. One more drink, he called after me. To the future. I closed the bedroom door, my hands trembling with rage. Not at the personal humiliation, I'd endured plenty of that, but at the calculated destruction of everything I'd built. This wasn't just about Nathan anymore, this was corporate betrayal. Morning arrived with cold clarity. I dressed carefully, not in my usual casual clothes, but in a tailored charcoal suit I kept hidden in the back of my closet. Professional, powerful, mine. What's with the outfit? Nathan asked, eyebrows raised over his coffee mug. Finally got an interview? Something like that, I replied, gathering my things. Don't wait up tonight. The Apex Technologies building rose 40 stories into the Manhattan skyline, its glass facade reflecting the morning sun. I entered through the executive garage, using the private elevator that only 5 people in the company had access to. The top floor was quiet when I arrived, my heels clicking against marble as I walked the hallway I'd designed but rarely visited. Outside Emma Dawson's office, Marta, my assistant of 7 years, and one of the few people who knew my true identity, stood waiting. Everything's ready, she said quietly. The board is assembling in conference room A. Security has been briefed. I nodded, my throat tight. And the evidence? All prepared. Legal confirmed it's more than sufficient. Thank you, Marta. I squeezed her hand. For everything. It's time they knew who really built this place, she replied, her eyes fierce with loyalty. I took a deep breath and pushed open the boardroom doors. 12 faces turned toward me, expressions ranging from confusion to annoyance. Jonathan Pierce sat at the far end, papers spread before him. His face registered shock first, then dismissal. Excuse me, this is a private meeting, he began, but I cut him off. Good morning, gentlemen. My voice was steady, stronger than I'd ever allowed it to be in Nathan's presence. I believe you're waiting for Emma Dawson. Pierce's mouth twisted into a condescending smile. Mrs. Hayes, I understand you're proud of your husband's promotion, but this really isn't appropriate. My name, I said, placing my hands on the table, is Kate Williams. But you know me better as Emma Dawson, founder and CEO of Apex Technologies. The room went deadly silent. I could almost hear the mental calculations, the desperate scrambling to recontextualize every interaction we'd ever had. That's impossible, Pierce finally managed. Emma Dawson is a pseudonym I created to protect myself from exactly the kind of power play you and my husband attempted yesterday. I opened my laptop, connecting it to the room's display system. Now, let's discuss the unauthorized promotion of Nathan Hayes and your plan to sell off our AI division, shall we? The evidence appeared on screen. Emails, recordings, financial records, documenting years of misconduct. Not just Nathan and Pierce, but half the men sitting around that table. Their faces drained of color as their own words appeared in emails and meeting transcripts, incriminating themselves through documented communications. The boardroom doors opened again. Nathan stood frozen in the doorway, his expression shifting from confusion to horror as he saw me standing at the head of the table. Kate, what are you doing here? His eyes darted between me and the screen, where an email from his account was displayed, one detailing how they would bypass board approval for the AI division sale. Hello, Nathan. I said calmly. "I believe you know Emma Dawson." His face went white. "What is this?" "This," I gestured around the room, "is my company, the one you've been trying to dismantle from within." I turned to address the entire room. "Gentlemen, effective immediately, Jonathan Pierce, Nathan Hayes, and anyone involved in this scheme is terminated from Apex Technologies. Security is waiting outside to escort you from the building." Pierce shot to his feet. "You can't do this. The board won't." "The board has already been briefed," said a quiet voice from the doorway. Eleanor Vance, head of our board and my mentor for 15 years, stepped into the room. "I called an emergency meeting at 6 a.m. this morning where we reviewed all evidence and unanimously support Ms. Williams' decisions." Nathan stared at me, his world collapsing in real time. "All this time, you were—" He couldn't even finish the sentence. "Yes," I said simply. "I was." Security appeared, professional and discreet. One by one, the men who had mocked me, underestimated me, and tried to steal from me were escorted out. Nathan was the last to go, his eyes never leaving mine as the doors closed behind him. The silence that followed felt like the first clean breath after years underwater. "Well," Eleanor said finally, "I believe it's time for Apex Technologies to meet its real founder." The following weeks passed in a blur of activity. The company announcement, revealing Kate Williams as the true founder and CEO, sent shockwaves through the industry. Former employees came forward with their own stories of harassment and discrimination under Pierce's leadership. Nathan filed for divorce, his lawyer quickly backing down when faced with the prenuptial agreement I'd insisted on and the evidence of his inappropriate business conduct. I rebuilt my executive team, promoting people who had demonstrated integrity and vision regardless of gender or background. Lisa Reed, a brilliant engineer who'd been repeatedly passed over for promotion, became our new CTO. The toxic culture that had festered under Pierce's influence began to heal. 3 months after the boardroom confrontation, I stood addressing our entire company. In person this time, no pseudonyms or proxies. Apex Technologies was founded on the principle that innovation comes from diversity of thought, I told them. For too long, I hid behind a fake name because I feared being visible meant being vulnerable. I was wrong. Our strength comes from bringing our full selves to our work, from creating an environment where everyone's contribution is valued. I scanned the faces looking back at me, hundreds of employees, many seeing their CEO in person for the first time. Today, we're launching our most ambitious project yet. The AI division, which will remain firmly part of Apex, has developed technology that will transform how we approach machine learning. But more importantly, we're transforming how we approach leadership. The applause that followed wasn't just for the announcement, it was for the promise of what Apex could become, what it always should have been. Later that evening, as I packed up my office, no longer Emma Dawson's sterile space but my own, filled with books and photos and evidence of a life fully lived, my phone buzzed with a text from a former colleague who had kept in touch after leaving Apex for another company. It was a photo of Nathan standing behind the counter at an electronics store in New Jersey, wearing a blue vest with a name tag. The message read, "How the mighty have fallen." I deleted it without responding. This wasn't about Nathan's fall. It was about my rise. Our rise as a company built on authentic leadership rather than deception and power plays. Sometimes people ask if I regret the years of hiding, of enduring Nathan's belittlement while secretly holding the power to end his career with a single word. I don't. Those years taught me what happens when power operates without accountability, when people believe they can treat others as less than human without consequences. I learned that reclaiming your power isn't about revenge. It's about creating something better from the ashes of what was broken. It's about building systems where no one else has to hide who they are to succeed. I no longer live a double life. I'm Kate Williams, founder and CEO of Apex Technologies, and I'm exactly where I belong.